See, look, there go Ronnie Riley.
Good afternoon. Hello and welcome to the elephant display here at Busch Gardens, Tampa. My name is Otto. I'm the elephant manager. We've got two of our top elephant trainers here today. We've got Sheila underneath the tree here to my left, and over here to the right is Melissa. Now you'll also notice that 5 of our 6 Asian elephants are joining us today. As a matter of fact, you can see the 6th one looks like Tina, who is on the far side. If you look way up in the far left-hand corner of the habitat there, she's up in the barn area right now. And that's Simba, actually. Tina's out here right now. Let me introduce the other 5 to you. Let's go left to right. Keep in mind these are all adult females. And they range in age. A couple that I'd like to point out in particular. But first off, the animal here on the left, directly in front of Sheila, is Karina. Next is Rosie. The animal directly in front of me now. We just got that big head of lettuce. It's romaine lettuce she's going to be eating. Her name is Mem. She's the largest elephant here. She's also the oldest. She is 66 years old this year. That makes Mem one of the 2 oldest elephants in the country right now, and one of the oldest in the world, actually. Next is Tina, and all the way down the end is our youngest. Her name is Karnouty, and Karnouty will be 18 years of age in April. Karnouty's mother is Karina, the animal on the left-hand side here that's following Sheila down right now. Now, I mentioned these are Asian elephants. The scientific name is Elephas maximus. And they're actually very easy to tell apart from African elephants if you were to see them side by side. However, it's important to note, too, that they're actually more closely related to woolly mammoths, which are now extinct. Nice toss, Karnouty. And then they are to African elephants. But let's go over a few of the comparisons between Asian elephants and African elephants. First off, African elephants are a little bit larger. They're going to average about 3,000 pounds larger in size, although you can see there's a great deal of variation between individual animals. Secondly, look at the ears. That's a very easy way to tell them apart. These Asian elephant ears, they're kind of big, but if you compare them to an African elephant's ears, the African elephant's ears are much, much larger because they're more likely to live out in open grassland as opposed to Asian elephants like these, who often have more of a jungle or a forest kind of habitat. Next, look at the general outline, the profile of the elephants. And you can see that these Asian elephants have a rounded back, kind of a gently arched back. That contrasts with African elephants. Their backs are actually concave. They dip down along the spine. Next, looking at the spotted coloration around the trunk, the eyes, the ears, the neck, and the throat area, that's unique to Asian elephants. African elephants have a more uniform, kind of brownish coloration about them. Now, if you, as you watch these guys eating too, picking up objects, you see Mem just got a nice big bag here. This is a paper bag. It's full of bran, and she'll eat the contents of the bag. She may even eat the whole thing, bag and all. Let's see. There's a few grapes in there as well. But as they pick up objects, take a look at the very end of the trunk. That's what I want to point out. They've got a single finger-like projection on the top surface of that trunk on the very tip. And it is very much like a finger. There are a lot of very sensitive cells there, and they pick up and manipulate objects in their environment using that fingertip. Asian elephants have one. African elephants actually have 2 of those appendages. They've got one on the top of the trunk and one on the bottom as well. It almost looks like kind of a crab claw from profile if you were to see an African elephant's trunk. And then finally, look at the feet. Now, all elephants, regardless of species, have 5 toes, but they have different numbers of toenails. These Asian elephants have 4 toenails on the front feet. I'm sorry, 4 on the rear feet, 5 on the front. And that's 1 more on each foot than African elephants have. They've got 4 on the front and 3 on the back. One more important difference between African elephants and Asian elephants like these is the status of their worldwide populations. Now, African elephants are officially classified as a threatened species. There are about 700,000 African elephants still on the continent there. And that contrasts with Asian elephants like these, who are officially highly endangered. There are only about 30,000 Asian elephants left in the 13 countries that make up their home range. throughout Asia, countries like India, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Nepal, in a number of smaller countries as well. Now, everywhere that you find wild Asian elephants, you find what's referred to by its initials as HEC. And we'll get to that in a minute here. First, if you're just joining us, watch Carnowdy here, our youngest. She's going to toss back this paper ball back to Melissa. And if you're wondering about that, we use paper and cardboard as a toy with the elephants. A lot of the toys we give them, just because elephants are so destructive, they've got to be indestructible. Things that they can't bite and chew and break off and potentially choke on small pieces. So when the elephants have a ball, we don't just go down to Sports Authority and buy them a basketball. We've got to buy a ball that's 5/8 of an inch thick, hard plastic, and they cost about $700. So when you can give them something like paper towels or cardboard that they can rip apart, have all kinds of fun with it, if they decide to eat it, it's not going to hurt them, then that's terrific. And that seems to be the favorite kind of play toys that the elephants enjoy most. Carnowdy will play this game all day long, by the way. You can see she's going to give another go to Melissa here. I was talking about the worldwide populations, and it's specifically about what the situation is regarding wild Asian elephants. They're embroiled in something that's referred to by its initials as HEC. That stands for human-elephant conflict. The problem is just pervasive and terrific, and every year millions of dollars are spent, and many of the world's best scientific minds are trying to find ways to mitigate the conflict between humans and elephants. Particularly in Asia, it's more of a problem because the human populations are much greater than they are in Africa, so humans and elephants come into conflict a lot more frequently. And I'll finish with that in a second. You might have heard some squeaking noises just a minute ago. That was from Karina. You can see Karina's kind of pivoting now. She's turning sideways. Rosie, the animal on the left, kind of gave her a little thump, and that brought Karina's calf, Carnowdy, over to see what was going on. Hey, is there a problem here, Mom? Can I help you out? Now she's evidently satisfied everything's okay. Carnowdy's returning over here to her trainer, Melissa. And it looks like Karina's kind of put the incident behind her as well, and she's going to pay attention to Sheila. So let me go ahead and talk about that for a moment. This is a very interesting aspect of elephant society. There are a few aspects of it that I'd like to point out. First, it's a matriarchal society. So it's organized along the status of the breeding females. It's matrilineal. So you'll see that female offspring will remain with their mothers really their entire lives. Male offspring actually stay with their moms until they're until they're sexually mature, and that's going to be anywhere from 8 to 11 years of age. At that point, the males kind of get kicked out of the group, and the males at that point either live a solitary existence or they live in loosely affiliated small groups of males. It's called a bachelor herd. So from the time that they're mature, all that the males really have to do with the females is kind of show up at breeding time. They really don't have anything to do with raising the young. So there's no family unit in the way that we would think of it. Also, it's a linear dominance hierarchy. That means that there's a very structured social environment. For a herd like this, we've got 6 Asian elephants. There's basically a ladder, a social ladder with 6 rungs on it. Each animal has to know exactly where they fit on that ladder. We've got a matriarch. We mentioned Mem here, the 66-year-old right directly in front of me. She's in charge, but it's much better to be number 5 than it is to be number 6. So this is something that's maintained constantly throughout the day, dozens and dozens of times throughout the day as the animals encounter each other, pass each other, go apart, are reunited. They're going to have to remind each other anytime two elephants pass each other, who's dominant and who's submissive in that pair. Usually it's done very symbolically through nonverbal communication, and it's almost a handshake kind of a gesture. But occasionally you'll get little disputes where there's a disagreement about who is dominant and who's submissive, and so you'll see little conflicts. Also, animals, and it's good to point out here with Rosie and with Karina. Karina is number 6. She's at the very bottom of the social structure here. She is the most submissive animal in the entire facility. She'll step away from the other elephants, let them take her food occasionally, and that contrasts with the behavior of an animal like Mem here, who's number one. Now Rosie is much closer to Karina on the social ladder, so you're much more likely to see a little physical confrontation, of dispute over resources, like a piece of food or maybe a preferred place to stand when the trainers are out here. So you're much more likely to see it between animals that are that close than you are between the matriarch, because everybody knows that Mem is in charge and nobody is going to try to take any of her food. Getting back to the human-elephant conflict with wild Asian elephants, tremendous problem. Again, you've got human populations encroaching upon Asian elephant territory, places where they have lived for thousands and thousands, even millions of years. And so what you find is that elephants are being subject to human-induced perils, things like electric fences, snares, landmines. They're being shot and poisoned, things like that. They'll often wander into villages. And on the other hand, put yourself in the position of the people that live in those villages, and Asian elephants like these kill more humans every year than any other mammal in the world. Now here at Busch Gardens, we use only positive reinforcement with the elephants, which really contrasts with the way that elephants have been trained for over 4,000 years by humans. The traditional method is through dominance, through aversive control. And using only positive reinforcement requires a lot of patience, a lot of planning, and a large professional staff. And we're actually blessed here to have terrific resources and have 8 full-time trainers in addition to myself that work exclusively with the elephants every day. So we've got an excellent ratio of training staff to elephants, and they get probably better medical attention than 99% of the people that come here to see them every day. What we're feeding now is a little bit of browse. This is not a main part of their diet here at Busch Gardens, but it's part of it. It's kind of a treat. You can see that they're very, very interested. Let's see, we've got this is bamboo today. You can see we've got some palm fronds we're going to feed out as well. But elephants can eat tree branches. We'll feed them, in addition to bamboo like this, we'll feed them oak branches occasionally, and they can eat a branch that's up to 6 inches in diameter. They'll also eat things like sugarcane, hibiscus. Banana trees are our particular favorite. And this is just something that we feed as it's available. Usually about 5 days a week they'll get some sort of a browse item like this. The bulk of their diet is actually hay. You can see behind the elephants here, there's green hay behind them there. We've got a little bit down here to the right-hand side of the habitat as well. Each elephant eats between 2 to 2.5 bales of hay every day. The produce that you saw the girls feeding out during the training session, and let's see today.